Parliament gets new house rules, including guidelines on dress code. Censorship concerns as the SABC decides to stop screening footage of violent protests. It's Friday. Hello and welcome to it. You're watching eNEWS Direct. I'm Duduzile Ramila.
And I'm Sandy Lekangose. Good evening.
To comment on any of our stories, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNEWS Direct.
You can also track our main stories using the following hashtags: Parliament rules and SABC.
From today, Parliament will operate under a new set of rules. MPs have adopted overhauled house rules for the first time since the dawn of democracy. These include the Rules Committee preparing guidelines on dress code. According to the ANC, the guidelines are aimed at excluding attire unbecoming of the decorum of the House. The new rules also allow for the removal of members who, after advice and warning, insist on disrupting proceedings. The party says the changes were not made with any particular party or individual in mind.
We can no longer have a situation whereby members of parliament use or abuse point of orders to delay, to obstruct, or to cause disruption in the House. Even the issue of just continuously filibustering to ensure that, with a view to ensure that a very important key agenda item is not voted on or is not debated will be a thing of the past. So we are really making this parliament a very serious institution that should deal with the business of the House at hand and shun any form of anarchy, any form of delays or unnecessary tactics that seeks to disrupt the operation of the institution.
SABC news bulletins will no longer show visuals of destruction of property during violent protests. The public broadcaster says it will not give publicity to arsonists and people seeking media attention. But the South African National Editors Forum says the decision is worrying.
This is what you'll no longer see on any SABC bulletins. The broadcaster's chief operating officer, Claudie Motsoneng, says the move will discourage copycats and the spread of lawlessness. Last week, Motsoneng was praised for calling for the promotion of local content on SABC radio. Now he's gone from hero to zero on social media. The South African National Editors Forum is calling this latest move by the SABC censorship.
So they will be covering all, as far as they can, protests that turn violence, but they won't be showing the full story, as in showing it in full pictures. So people have a reason to say, okay, we hear you, but maybe we have to look elsewhere to get the full picture.
SANEF also says the public broadcaster's reasons for the move are not good enough. eNCA's editor-in-chief says people have a right to the full story.
We need to respect the intelligence of our audience and our viewers, that it's our job to tell people what's going on and help them understand and interpret it. We have to be very cognizant of the context in which we tell these stories, so that it doesn't promote destruction and violence, but we have to tell those stories.
It's understood the SABC's new editorial stance is not a change in policy, but a directive from the top of the newsroom.
The Kekana royal family, which owns some of the land on which evictions took place in Hammanskraal, says it feels disrespected. The family insists it is pleased the violence that saw 2 people killed has stopped, but it's shocked at how the matter was handled.
They're campaigning with our land, which is very wrong.
That's how the Kekana Royal House describes the action of government officials. On Wednesday, an agreement was reached with community members to end the deadly violence following attempts to evict 3,000 people. They were accused of illegally occupying land owned by the royal family and the city of Tshwane. The family says it was at Wednesday's meeting led by Housing MEC Paul Mashatile, but its representatives were not active participants.
We just went there as passive observers. But to our amazement, there was a statement regarding that we have reached an agreement with the government people. We've never discussed anything with the government people. neither the MEC, MMC, MEC, or his officials.
Showing us documents, members of the Royal House say they are not against people living on their land with their permission. But they claim local councillors have hijacked the process and allocate stands themselves.
Tswane has got no land here. We've got papers to prove it. They must come with their papers and prove it.
The Human Settlements Department says Paul Mashatile does not want to get involved in this public spat.
MEC Mashatile and Executive Mayor Ramokgopa are arranging a meeting with the royal family so as to deal with matters regarding the settlement of the affected people on tribal land.
So while the royal family wait for that meeting to take place, government has called on everyone to rally behind Wednesday's agreement. Malungi Elupui, Hammanskraal.
The top leadership of the ANC meets in Pretoria this weekend, and it seems the agenda is going to be dominated by controversial issues. The Guptas and eNCA ruling are likely to take center stage.
It's confirmed that ANC Secretary-General Gwede Mantashe will table his office's report on alleged state capture by the politically connected Gupta family.
We are reporting on those things this weekend. The NEC
In March, the ANC NEC instructed the National Working Committee to investigate allegations the Guptas were exploiting their friendship with President Jacob Zuma to influence cabinet appointments. The NEC is the ruling party's highest decision-making structure. At its last meeting, members close to Zuma fought hard to quash debate on the matter.
Small issues, we make them big issues.
Another important issue to be discussed is the report on the Constitutional Court judgment on Nkandla. The court found that Zuma and Parliament had acted inconsistently with the highest law of the land by ignoring the remedial action proposed by Public Protector Thuli Madonsela. She found Zuma had unduly benefited from the 246 million rand spent on so-called security upgrades to his home in Nkandla. She recommended he repay a reasonable portion of the money spent on non-security features, the swimming pool, amphitheatre, visitor centre, cattle kraal and chicken run. The Constitutional Court judgment may reflect badly on the President's credibility, but NEC members are unlikely to break ranks and openly criticise their leader. With local elections looming, the governing party is unlikely to take decisions that could create uncertainty.
So making it onto the list of ANC candidates has become a battle of wills as the ruling party finalizes lists in Pretoria ahead of local elections. Various regions have expressed unhappiness over how some of their nominations were handled.
It's a heated issue within the ruling party. One that has even cost some lives and has seen long-time comrades at loggerheads. And while the ANC now meets to scrutinize and put final touches to its councillors' list, dissatisfaction has caused some to drive hundreds of kilometers to voice their concerns.
But our list have been manipulated by the Provincial Secretary, which is called Sol Zamani, and the Regional Executive Committee led by Tita Peloditev. And as branches have never agreed on that particular names. So we're so surprised that we heard and we saw their names which have never been nominated.
But the ANC says there's more to the story.
Yes, I've seen the Northern Cape, though it has an element of mischief. Because their appeals went to the Regional List Committee, they went to the Provincial List Committee, they came to the National List Committee, and they were listened to. To be here is just sensationalization of their issues. And we're not going to take decisions on the basis of emotions. We take decisions on the basis of facts.
The final list is expected to be done on Saturday, after which the National Executive Committee will meet. Bongiwe Khumalo, Irene, Pretoria.
A quick look at world news now, and Barack Obama is the first U.S. president to visit the Japanese city of Hiroshima since the nuclear bombing in the Second World War. He landed at the Iwakuni U.S. military base, where he told troops he will not be apologizing for the 1945 attack. Protesters gathered outside the memorial that commemorates at least 140,000 people who died in what was the world's first nuclear bombing. Staying in Japan, an engine of a Korean Air Boeing 777 caught fire as it was preparing for takeoff from Haneda Airport. More than 300 passengers and crew had to be evacuated by emergency chutes from the plane's doors. Over a dozen people were injured. And Europe's immigration crisis is not slowing down. The Italian Coast Guard says it has rescued around 4,000 asylum seekers in one day, crossing the Mediterranean from Libya. At least 20 bodies were spotted at sea. Authorities say people smugglers are taking advantage of the warm weather and calm seas.
Here's Duduzile with all of his social media.
Thank you so much, Sandile. Remember Sylvester the lion that escaped twice from the Karoo National Park? Well, he's now being moved to another park where officials say there's little chance of a breakout. Sylvester will be sedated and transported by road to Addo Elephant National Park. The park has 2 sets of electrified fences that should discourage any getaway attempt. After his second escape, wildlife officials dropped plans to kill Sylvester following an outcry that he should be captured and relocated. We end with this. The subject of our poll tonight is the SABC's decision not to show footage of destruction of property during violent protests in any of its news bulletins. And this is how you reacted. 33% voting it's an irrational decision, while 19% say it's the best decision ever, while 36% say it's disrespecting South Africans, and another 18% just simply saying, well, who cares? To comment on any of our stories, you can check us out on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNEWS Direct, or you can head on over to our website. That's eNCA.com/direct. We've got your business news after the break, as well as your detailed weekend weather forecast. Money matters now, and workers have begun an indefinite strike at Sibanye Gold's Kroondal Platinum Mine. They're demanding transport, claiming they've been attacked after working night shifts. AMCU is the main union at the mine. It has about 7,000 workers and is located on the Rustenburg Platinum Belt. Sibanye says it will seek a court order to stop the strike as it will affect production. Unions and platinum miners are expected to start wage talks in the next few weeks. Let's see how the markets perform today. Let's check in with the Weather Center now. Here's Joel Guy.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Weather Center. The weather turned out as expected on Friday across South Africa. Partly cloudy over the eastern provinces, clear skies across much of the interior, high level cloud moving into the southwestern areas. And it was pretty hot for the west coast and the adjacent interior, with temperatures exceeding 30 degrees in most places. Sunnier skies are forecast on Saturday across the whole country, although we could see a few patches of cloud over the easternmost areas of Mpumalanga and Limpopo, and a bit of high level cloud for the southwestern areas. It's going to stay hot for the westernmost parts of South Africa. Warm temperatures are forecast across the Southern Cape provinces as well as across KwaZulu-Natal. Now, it's going to stay sunny for KZN on Saturday, with temperatures in the lower to mid-20s. Rather chilly overnight for the interior, with minimums dropping to below 10 degrees. It's also going to be cold overnight for the central and northern parts of the Eastern Cape, with mild afternoon temperatures for the northern parts, warmer for the southern areas. Graafrenet, Grahamstown and Port Elizabeth making it to around 27 degrees on Saturday afternoon. High-level cloud will continue over parts of the Western Cape. Afternoon temperatures warming up further. Cape Town making it to 24. A hot 33 is forecast for Vredendal. We are going to stay with clear skies across much of the Northern Cape. Overnight temperatures below freezing for Sutherland and warming up to 19 in the afternoon. Much warmer for Appington, peaking at 27 degrees. Sunny skies are also forecast across the Free State with mild afternoon temperatures. We are also expecting a mild Saturday across the northwest with clear blue skies expected overhead. Sunny weather returns to Limpopo and it's going to become warmer. Polokwane warming to 21, 26 for Messina, Palabora just a degree warmer. We are also expecting a sunny one across Mpumalanga, Mbombela warming to around 25 degrees. Clear skies are also forecast for Gauteng with highs lying mostly in the lower 20s. We are going to stay with sunny weather on Saturday across much of South Africa, temperatures pushing into the upper 20s across the Eastern Cape. Similar weather continues across much of the country on Sunday. However, it's going to become partly cloudy and a touch cooler for Cape Town.
Thank you, Joel. If you're in Cape Town and have R3.5 million to spare, an original Pablo Picasso sketch could be yours. Welcome back. A Pablo Picasso drawing is up for auction in South Africa. The first time a piece of this caliber is to be sold here.
Interesting. The drawing, titled Osirk, is expected to fetch over R3.5 million.
A first for the South African art industry. This original 1954 Picasso crayon sketch goes under the hammer next week.
We know where the picture has been from when it left Picasso. It went from him to his gallery in Paris, then it went to a gallery in New York, then it was an auction twice in New York, then it came back to South Africa, and a local seller has put it on the market.
The drawing was last sold in 2006 in New York for $240,000.
For an artist like Picasso, his work slowly does increase in value and in collectability and desirability. It's a major coup to be able to say that you own a Picasso, one of the absolute masters.
But to the untrained eye, it looks like, well, a doodle.
If you look at it a little bit with a bit more depth, there's composition. The two faces on either side look into the picture, so that it draws your eye into the picture. The man on the horse is the center of this is kind of focal point. There's depth, there's perspective. The horse is in front of the woman's in front of the window. There's everything about it that says it was drawn by a guy who knows how to draw.
The auction is expected to attract international buyers who've in the past have forked out as much as $179 million to own a piece by one of history's most influential artists. Narissa Subramani, Johannesburg.
Here's a reminder of the day's top stories before we say goodbye. Parliament gets new house rules, including guidelines on dress code. Censorship concerns as the SABC decides to stop screening footage of violent protests. And that's our lot for the week.
It is. Your favorite drama, Rhythm City, is up next.
Remember, we do love to hear from you. You can send us an email to enewsdirect@etv.co.za.
You can, of course, just talk to us on Twitter and Facebook, and the handle that you need is @eNewsDirect.
Until Monday night, have a fantastic weekend. Bye-bye.